Check 1, 2. How is everybody feeling? Yo, shout out to Dean Davis in the chat. We look, we coming in hot, all right? Last night I was out under the night sky watching this eclipse, okay? And my mind was freaking blown. It was wild. It was wild. It was just wild. It almost looked like a different planet that I was looking at. It was almost like Mars was like right there in my face. Anyways, Kian the one. One with the sun. Today the sun shines at 25 degrees Aries. Pisces, excuse me. We are so close to the inaugural spring rebirth. And guess what? This is going to be your official Mercury Retrograde survival guide. Tips and tricks. Mercury Retrograde in Aries survival guide. Mercury in Aries retrograde survival tips. Because we literally had an eclipse last night. All right? And 24 hours later, right, when we feel this fullness of this change, this new beginnings that are about to wash over us, 24 hours later, we have freaking Mercury retrograde. You know? Like, we are not skipping a beat. I told you guys this earlier. I said March is going to be one of the most intense and chaotic months in astrology for 2025. We have all these planets shifting into a new sign, okay, from Pisces to Aries mainly. Towards the end of the month, we're going to have a Pisces party again, right? Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, big major endings. All of them coming about. One day at a time, we're slowly marching towards this grand finale, which is going to be towards the end of March. In about 4 or 5 hours, depending on where you are in the world, I am on the west coast of the United States, we are officially going to start Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury retrograde gets a bad rep. And I get it. I understand. Because this is when things start to go a little haywire. It's incredible enough that we just had an eclipse. And now, 24 hours later, Mercury is standing still in the sky, in the sign of Aries, aka the god of war, stationing to go retrograde. It felt like last night was like this culmination moment where I was just like, oh my God, like so many things were like falling into place and subsequently also falling out of place when I was meditating, looking at the lunar eclipse. I was getting all these insights, all these downloads. And then I realized, wait, we just had this eclipse, this pivotal, pinnacle moment. But Venus is retrograde, and Mercury is going to station retrograde in about 24 hours. Now, if you don't think this will affect you, I think you're wrong. Things that I would expect to see this Mercury retrograde. 1, people from your past returning. 2, you having to review certain ideas, certain new beginnings that were set in place, okay, depending on what area of life this Mercury retrograde takes place. People from the past coming, a huge review, possible miscommunications, because Aries is a very fiery sign. Okay. Shout out to everybody joining in the chat. Shout out to Predoxin, Dean Davis, Nancy, Indo. What's going on? Aries is a spitfire sign. Okay. Aries does not give an F about you or your feelings. The opposite of Aries, Libra, they care about you. They care about your feelings. But Aries is on a war path. And being that this Mercury retrograde starts in the sign of the god of war, Aries, would this suggest to me that there might be a little bit of tension in the air, okay? But you have to be careful. We cannot just say what we think without thinking it through, because this is the trap. Because one, it's going to get lost in translation. Right? You feel so passionate about a specific idea, something that you want to get across. But then you get it across and you start an all-out war. And then you're just like, what just happened? How did this happen? Mercury retrograde in Aries. Now, here are some survival tips and guides for you to be able to survive this Mercury retrograde in Aries. Number one, think before you speak. Aries is a hot-headed sign. Okay, we might feel very passionate about something that we want to get across, but it is best and wisest to just keep silent and really think about it. I'm not saying don't say anything, but think about what it is that you want to speak about. Number two, be particularly careful on the details. Aries is such a hot-headed, passionate sign. It acts and then thinks. But with Mercury retrograde occurring in the sign of Aries, it is best and wisest to really slow down, stop the fiery passion, and read the details. Okay, Mercury is going to go back into the sign of Pisces. So the details are extremely important at this point, because Pisces is the opposite of Virgo, and Virgo rules details. So we want to be particularly careful about the details of any given situation. Number three, people from the past or unresolved matters may return, but they're not necessarily returning for continuance of whatever that path or relationship was, although they could. But more importantly, they are returning for review. For us to be able to look at what's happening or what has happened in the past from a fresh perspective. Being that it's in Aries, Aries is a sign that rules conflict, okay? Shout out to all my Aries out there. You know, I love them. But they're very strong-willed, very passionate individuals. And what they instinctually feel, it is the first sign of the zodiac, and it represents birth, right? A baby, when it's sad, it cries. When it's happy, it laughs. Like, there's such a purity in the instinctual responses of a child. And Aries is the child of the zodiac. And I mean this very respectfully. Whereas Pisces is like, it's surpassed age, okay? It doesn't even understand the concept of age. When we get to Capricorn, which is 2 signs away from Pisces, Capricorns are old souls for a reason, because they're ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is so meticulous, so patient, thoroughly reviews all the details before making a move. That's right, Dean Davis. You already know. But being that Aries is such a young, fresh energy, this is why it's all the more important for us to really think before we speak. Even in matters of love, because Venus is also retrograde right now. But more importantly, this is about Mercury retrograde. Okay, and when Mercury stands still in the sky, it is at the height of its power. When it stations to go retrograde, or vice versa, stations to go direct, it is at the height of its power. And being that it's at the height of its power, those fiery words are at the tip of our tongue. But we have to be very careful. We can't just say the first thing that comes to mind. Be particularly cautious over your words and actions. Once we go and start this retrograde, it's different. Maybe this is when it will be a little bit more difficult to express those fiery, passionate words and ideas that you want to come across. Yeah. So let's recap on this survival guide. Number 1, think before you speak. Really feel into the truth of the word, not just the truth, but you want to temper the passion with introspection. Okay? This is going to save you a lot of headache and a lot of trouble. It doesn't necessarily have to do with conversation, but any sort of exchange. Okay? Let's just say you are about to buy something. Okay? It's an exchange. Any sort of exchange is ruled by the planet Mercury. Aries Mercury just wants the exchange. It doesn't want to think about it. But right now, and even if you do make those decisions wherein you dive head first, you're guaranteed to review them. Go back and review them at some point in this retrograde, even when Mercury stations to go direct and move forward. I think it's a great time to review your most instinctual self and how it wishes to communicate. When it goes back into the sign of Pisces, it's a little bit different because it's going to conjunct Neptune. It's going to conjunct the North Node as well. And usually when this happens, right, there's like some, especially with Neptune and North Node in Pisces, this Piscean energy, I think this is where the forgiveness could happen. Right now it's raining in Vegas. Hallelujah. So if you choose to use very passionate words and, say how you really feel, tell me how you really feel, right? Somebody might be on the receiving end of that. There might be a saving grace when Neptune and Mercury meet up in the sky. Now, Mercury retrograde is happening from March 14th all the way until April 7th. So this is the time where you want to be particularly careful with people from the past, contracts of any sort, right? Read the details. And people with the past also read the details. And finally, any exchanges that you have with others, think before you speak, because Aries is such a passionate sign. And you might unintentionally start some beef with somebody. And, there might be that saving grace when Mercury goes back into Pisces. Of course, we're going to talk about that when we get closer to that. But, and maybe I'm speaking because I'm a Libra and I enjoy the peace and the balance and the harmony. But I think it's particularly important to balance opposites. This is how the zodiac, the secret of the zodiac works. When you balance a sign with its opposite, then you receive the synthesis of the expression of that particular axis, right? Aries and Libra, war, peace, conflict, justice. This is why many spiritual paths talk about the middle path, walking the middle path, right? Not too far on this extreme, not too far on that extreme. Because when you walk in the middle path, you are able to make conscious decisions versus just random, you feel so strongly about this. And just to find out that there was a whole completely different perspective on the other side that you missed. And Aries doesn't give a fuck. Like it just wants to go. So be considerate when it comes to other people, when it comes to the power of your words, because you don't know what kind of hornet's nest you are stirring up. Guys, we literally thought like, yes, we got this eclipse. One of the other things that I think is very noteworthy, we got this eclipse, lunar eclipse in Virgo. So it felt like a culmination of some sorts. There was very positive and negative energies associated with this lunar eclipse. But last night, I have these medicine card decks, and I asked the decks, what is the message for eclipse season, these 2 weeks that we're about to face, from the 14th, 2 weeks later, till about the 28th. And the message was, and these are animal medicine cards. The animal medicine was the ant, and the ant teaches patience. So we have all this fiery energy. We're like, let's go, like eclipse season. We want to dive head first. But then Mercury is stationing to go retrograde in Aries. Venus is in her fall in Aries, already retrograde. So there's like this pushback almost, wherein we want to move forward with our plans, our visions, our ideas, something we feel very passionate about. And then, skirt, you stop because Mercury is about to go retrograde. Patience will be key. And again, let's go back to what I just said in regards to Mercury in Aries and how we can be like super passionate, super fiery. But there's an element of patience. When any planet slows down to go retrograde, stations to go retrograde, in that particular planet's symbology, whatever it rules over, right? Venus rules over finances, love, self-worth. Mercury rules over exchanges, the details, anything communicated, letters, texts, emails, also technology as well. It slows down. It goes, skirt, skirt, skirt. And we come to a standstill. There's no forward movement. Now you can either bang your head against the wall and be like, the fuck? Like, nothing is happening. Or you can practice patience. I know I can certainly use some of that. I don't know if you guys have been seeing my YouTube shorts. I've been going hard on those, like twice a day uploading. Same thing with other platforms as well. Just It's putting myself out there again. You guys know I'm facing like a huge rebirth in my life. A lot of you guys, day ones, you guys followed me from a couple years ago, and I disappeared because I was like, I'm not a crypto YouTuber, but I was an astrologer. I was an experience creator. I was a teacher. I was a philosopher. I produced the music. So everything kind of made this comeback into my life where I was like, it's time for me to be out there again, be of service again, give again, shine my light again. Right? But this is for me, even for me, this is just the beginning of that. So for me, I'm also practicing patience. Even though I'm excited, I'm ready to just continue to put myself out there. Skirt, skirt. Yo, shout out Dean Davis. Hey, sparking it up. Oh, that's nice. That's a good time. It's always a good time. Wow, some people felt the eclipse very intensely. Some people didn't even know there was an eclipse. And some people felt nothing. How do I get there? I was stepping away from cryptos. I told you guys because I didn't see myself as a crypto YouTuber. I wasn't a crypto bro, Crypto bros can be very insufferable, as one of my friends told me recently. And I was like, no. And you guys, I don't know if you guys know the story or not. I think I mentioned the story about it, but I basically went to the weekend. He had a concert in town, and at the T-Mobile Arena, like not T-Mobile, Allegiant Stadium, excuse me. It was a stadium, 80,000 people. And my friend and I, we took some shroomies, and the experience was so profound that I was like, it was so obvious that I wasn't a crypto YouTuber. I was like, I'm going to step away from this. And I did that. And I wasn't afraid to do so. And I was very open to everybody about it. And during that time where I stepped away, there might have been like certain videos that I would post here and there, but it was ultimately a time where I had to focus on my foundation, the family business. It was key. Like in retrospect, this is what's coming up in my awareness. I had to focus on the family business and get some things in order. And I did. And everything is in order now. And it's like now I had the space and time and the ability to be out there again and talk astrology, talk everything, talk spirituality, basically. And we're here. 24 hours after the eclipse, culmination point, right? Full moons are like fruitions, right? Full moons are fruitions. They are culmination. I know I've said this a million times, but it's so true. So it's like it wasn't necessarily a new beginning. It was more so endings, especially being in Pisces and Virgo. Like these next 2 weeks are going to rearrange everything when it comes to our health routines and habits. Maybe even coworkers, our day-to-day job, and also pets for the rare few out there. Yeah. And we in this bitch. Dean Davis says mushrooms will do that. My last experience changed the way I think so much. I haven't done them since. It's been like 4 years. That's nice. That's cool. Nano CBD, you still know cryptos. It's impossible to unlearn anything you know about cryptos. This is true. This is the thing too, like there's never, for me, I'm so grateful. My entire 20s was my apprenticeship. 30s was when things started to come together. 30s was like the introduction, right? From ages 0 to 27, we undergo our first Saturn return, wherein Saturn takes a 360-degree loop around the zodiac back to the place where it started when you were born. And the first time around, it's basically doing two things. It is preparing you for your life's purpose, because once you turn from 27 to 29, 30, this is where Saturn goes into the same sign as it was when you were born. And you basically solidify all this karmic clearing that happened from 0 to 27, because you're being prepared to be fully the person you were meant to be in this life. Because Saturn is the planet of responsibility and restriction. Like, you're not everything to everyone, and you're not necessarily everyone in one. I mean, maybe on some philosophical grand level, sure, but like, you can only be yourself, and that's a limitation, right? And it's not a bad limitation. This is why Saturn rules success through limitations. And it's funny because my Saturn was in my second house of finances, in the sign that rules cryptocurrency / astrology / higher knowledge, which is Aquarius, in my second house. And it was the best time because, and shout out to Greg, because I got an apprenticeship in the stock market. I learned about how to make money work for you. And 2, I learned about the crypto markets and about DeFi, decentralized finance. Like I said, during that time was like, it was a gold mine. And it enabled me to like not work, live alone, live by myself for a while, and just enjoy my life. But that had to come to an end because the bull run came to an end as well. But that's also why I focused on the family business, on things that are more stable and long lasting. If you don't have a foundation, especially as an artist of any sort, if you don't have a foundation, if you rely on your art, and that art doesn't matter, it could be YouTube, it could be music, it could be crypto. I mean, depends. Crypto, some people can make a very, very good living off that. I've seen some of my friends become like overnight millionaires because of crypto. But you need a foundation as a creator of any sort so that you're not depending on your art to fund your lifestyle. Once you're able to do that, then your art is free to breathe and receive inspiration from the universe without you putting any extra burden or weight on that art. So, and here we are, 24 hours after the eclipse, baby. Mercury stationing to go retrograde. Talking about Mercury Retrograde survival tips and tricks. Because this is going to be a wild March. I think April, towards the end of the month, going into April, this energy is going to give way. Especially once Neptune goes into the sign of Aries. It's just going to hover at 0 degrees Aries. So if you're like a early March 20th baby, I think Dean Davis, you're around that. Like, this is a huge change for you. Like, even me too, because it's going to go into my 4th house of family, of home, of the past, of my country or place of origin. Yeah. And it's in Aries. It's a completely new beginning. Yeah, March 21st. bro, you're in it. This is like, that is, we'll speak about that transit too soon. But I think March 30th for you is going to be very significant because, or whoever watches this and their birthday is on the 19th, 20th, or 21st, even the 22nd of March. Extremely significant for you. Neptune is a very spiritual planet. And it tends to bring things to an end because it rules Pisces. And being that it is in Aries, it's interesting because it's kind of like the beginning of the end, I almost want to say. Because beginning Aries, end Neptune. The beginning of the end. Which is why Neptune is correlated with major wars that happen in the United States. It takes about 150 years for it to loop around the zodiac. But then you have every 80 years, because it stands opposite on the Aries Libra axis, right? What do we talk about? War and peace. There's always a major war that happens, and Libra is actually a sign of war because it brings things to a conclusion. If Aries starts the war, if Aries starts the war, Libra finishes the war. So, I feel like I'm in it. I'm going to tell you more details another time. Yes, yes. I know 2 people born 3:30. They're flipping out. It'd be like that. It'd certainly be like that, my friends. Anyways, I feel in the matters of Mercury retrograde and survival tips, Mercury retrograde tricks and tips, I feel like I have spoken. It's Friday, guys. It is Friday. And this is going to be quite the 2 weeks. Just stay open to what unfolds. And I hope you enjoyed this live. And I hope the sun revealed to you something useful from now until April 7th, excuse me. So see, it's already Mercury retrograde. I'm already like jumbling up like different words and shit. I thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys have a blessed weekend. If you aren't already, subscribe and hit the bell notifications so you never miss a live, and join us daily Sunday to Friday in being one with the sun. I'm Kian the One, and I will see you guys on Sunday, the 16th, 4 days before our great rebirth and adventure into a new version of self. Sending you guys infinite love and blessings and peace, and wishing you a great Mercury retrograde. We'll talk more about it along the way. All right, y'all. God bless and much love. Take care. Peace.